Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Beyond the Home Study podcast. This is where we have real conversations with foster and adoptive parents. So, here we are, Laura Rose and me, just the
Here we
two
are.
of
Woohoo.
us today.
And since if you guys are listening to this and you're not watching the video, you should just go to YouTube and watch the video because we look really cute today and we did not plan this.
We're very, it's not monochromatic, it's the opposite. We're opposite.
Like contrasting. We're
Contrasting. Yeah, there you go.
contrasting.
Yeah, we'll leave it at
Yeah,
that.
Abby's in black, I'm in white. It's good. It's great.
It
Anyway.
is good.
Wow, so we are back with another episode. It's been a minute since we've done just me and you, so it's kind of fun.
I know, it is fun. I was thinking, we've had some really good guests. We've had some really sweet, great engagement on Instagram too of people, seeing clips and I think finding the episodes based on our numbers. It looks like people are finding the episodes and listening to the whole conversation, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, at least from what I've seen. So I did talk to if you didn't listen to last week's episode, go back and listen to it because we talked with a mother-daughter duo, and I talked to the mom this morning at church, and she was like, "Oh, we have so much more we could say. If you ever want us to come back, we will come back. We have so much more to
I
talk
love
about."
that.
So if you all haven't listened to it, go and listen, and if you wanna hear more, let us know. I think we'll bring them back at some point.
Felt that. I felt that when we were talking. I'm like, I feel like we could just keep going and
I
going. Like,
know.
there's so much more here. So that's good. We should bring them back.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
They was just like a fun dynamic too. Like the way they played
Mhm.
off of each other was like cracking me up. But
I know, it's so cool.
um let me tell you what we're gonna talk about today though. So if you're listening for the first time, like Abby said, we're a podcast for adoptive and foster parents or prospective parents or just
Mhm.
someone who just wants to listen. That's fine. Um, but today we're focusing on this like back to school transition. So we're gonna see where it goes. We've done a little bit of prep, but I'll be really honest, we didn't even like talk about what we prepped, and we may have prepped two completely different things. So this should be interesting. Um,
I
so
like
we
it.
don't have bullet points for you guys, but that's the general gist of where we're going.
Yeah, we're gonna talk, coming off of summer, moving into fall, really, and then we'll talk about us as moms or parents, and then we'll also talk about your kids, and I did wanna plug, before we even get going too much, last year, we did an episode right around this time, it was, the end of July. I wrote it down. Episode 20 of season 1. We did an episode on back to school, IEPs and all the different things. I didn't even know what the 50 what's the 504?
504?
504. I didn't even know what that was last year. So we talked all about that last year. So we probably won't go super in depth into all that in this little mini series we're doing. But if you want to go back and listen to last year's, you should.
Did you go back and listen? Was it good? Because,
I looked at notes.
that was a whole year ago. Okay.
It was a whole year ago. I went back and looked at the notes. I would say it was very informational, but also you see,
Okay.
Laura, you see your, professionalism versus my, naive mom who didn't have a kid in school come out because I, didn't even know what we were talking
It was
about.
funny.
Um, I'm sure it's entertaining. I mean, they always are in some way.
Right? Even if sometimes I like when I've, like, gone back to previous episodes, there's, like, a little, like, cringe factor where I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we've learned some since then."
Yeah.
But,
I feel like our interview skills have gotten so much better. Like, when I listen to past interviews,
Mm.
I'm like I mean, the guests are always good, and I feel like they always, nail their stories, but sometimes I don't know, I just feel like we've gotten better with interviewing, and then when it's just the 2 of us together, I feel like it's hit or miss, you know? Sometimes it's like, "Yeah, we nailed that," and then other times it's like, "Meh, maybe not."
Meh, meh. Well, you know what? Just stick around for another couple years because who knows? We're gonna be
Who
like
knows where we'll
Katie
go?
Couric or something. Yeah, who knows?
I don't think I want
Okay,
that.
well, anywho, let's just let's just start with, talking about, like okay, so we're talking about, like, coming off of summer because yeah, for so I don't know like, if Ohio is on the same schedule, but in Louisville, schools go back in, like, 2 weeks. It's, like, the beginning of August, 2 or 3, I don't know what day it
Yeah.
is, but, um, yeah, so I know for a lot of parents, and I used to see this, like, when I was practicing, that this time of year gets, like, crazy because
Mhm.
parents are, like, trying to do all the things, get all the stuff together, but their kids are also kind of freaking out and the parents are kind of freaking out. And it's funny because you pointed out when we were, like, talking about doing this, that there's this whole other flip side of parents that are like, "Oh, I can't wait." And I was like, "Oh, that's funny." Like,
Yeah.
I always saw, like, the anxious side of it, and I hadn't seen this, like, yeah, so you can talk about that.
Okay, so I think I saw this when I was working, especially, and, like, when my coworkers had school-age kids who they basically have to come up with, like, a whole crazy schedule in the summer for childcare because their kids aren't in school full-time, right? Like, I'm talking those who have their kids in, like, a typical five-day-a-week school. Like, they're planning camps or they're planning to have a nanny or they're like, all the different things, and then when school comes around, it's kind of like a, "Ah, okay, like, we're back in our normal routine. I know where they're going every day. I don't have to, like, make a different plan every week. Finally, like, we're back into some sort of routine." And that's how I saw it. I never saw it as, like, "Get my kids out of here, like, I can't stand being with them anymore." It wasn't like that. But I do think there's,
Okay.
like, both sides of it of, like, loving the summer and, like, wanting more time with your kids because you wanna do more things, like, you wanna go to the pool more, you wanna go to the lake more, like, all the different things. And then you've got the other side of, like, craving the rhythm again and, like, the routine of whatever school looks like for you.
Yeah, I think I saw too, just, like, not even kind of like this middle ground of just, like, this is just chaos.
Yeah,
It's not about, like, excuse me, it's not about, like, I am excited for them to go or I'm not excited because I wanna do more things. It would almost be like I can't even think about it because, like, there's so much transition happening right now that, like, I'm juggling all these balls and I feel like they're just all dropping, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess, like, I don't really know what it's like for every individual person. Your story is gonna be different, but there can be a lot of, like, little things, like, little lists and things to get ready for school, whether it's, like, you're getting school supplies or you're making sure you have, like, registered for the right classes or the right things or the right sport, like, all that stuff, and I feel like you get to, like, the middle of the summer and all of a sudden you're planning for the fall before you even know it, like, if you haven't planned those things by July 1st, you're behind the game, like that kind of feeling, and so that's where, like, what you would see of, like, that
Yeah.
anxiety and, like, anxious side, and that's not even we're not even talking about, like, the emotional side of it, of, like,
Right,
preparing
that's
for
just
a
the
big transition.
practical
Yeah, that's just, like, practical
right,
stuff,
right.
so, yeah, there's, like, the practical and the emotional all happening at the same time.
It is a lot of balls. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like I know I was talking to my neighbor and she's like, I've got one kid that switched schools this year. So
Mm,
she's having to like that's a whole nother thing. And she was having to get
mhm.
uniforms because like they
Yeah.
sell out of uniforms, right? Like, and it could take a while to come in if you need a certain something. And then that's in addition to like the school supplies, in addition to like meeting the teacher. Cause sometimes they like meet teachers and stuff before.
Orientation,
And
yeah,
then
all
if you
that
have
stuff.
orientation, and then if you have
Mhm.
multiple kids in multiple schools, which many people do, and many of our adoptive parents do because they have kids that have special they need to go to a specific school because that what's works for them, but a different
Right.
kid needs to go to a different school. It's just a lot.
Yeah, and I think that in your mind, you want summer to be this, like, relaxed, sleep in, stay up late, like, just, like, kinda ride the wave of the summer, like, you want it to be like that, and you get probably, like, what, 2 weeks into the summer, and you're already thinking and planning for the next school year. Like, you don't even I mean, I guess, again, it depends on how long your breaks are and stuff, but it's, like it's
Or
a
even
big chunk
just
of
a
time.
vacation.
True.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's like vacations are so much work.
Yes.
They just are.
So much work. Oh my gosh, I know. We
You just
have
got back from one.
Yeah, we just got back. We got back from, like, a 10-day trip that we went on to the beach, and then we turned around and went on a weekend, cabin trip with friends, and then we still have 1 trip still to come, which I know feels like a lot, but like, they're spaced out pretty well now, like, we've got some time, but we're doing a trip out to the Rockies to go hiking, and I'm, like, thinking about so the other trips we drove, and I could just, like, throw as much stuff as I wanted in the car because you're driving, you just kinda keep, like, 1 more bag of random whatevers, throw it in. So and we had my parents' car, so we, like, threw stuff into their car. But the next trip that we're going on, we're flying, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, the amount of work that I'm like of, like, fitting everything into the bags and the right sizes and making sure that the hiking carrier packs are packed the right way," like, all this stuff, I'm like, "Okay, it's a lot, it's a lot."
See, you're just gearing up. You're just, like, gearing up for school.
I
Like,
know,
this is
seriously.
training. All summer you train so that you can then yeah.
It's so true, it's so true, yeah. I think that so one of the things is I was, like, trying to think through this. I like the idea of and I'm not good at this, I'll preface with it. I like the idea of, like, reflecting on whatever the past season was, whether it's summer or, like, maybe you do school all year round and, like, summer's not even really a thing. But, like, think back over the last few months of, like, okay, what has worked well? Or, like, even, I mean, talking vacation, like, what worked well on our last trip? What do I wanna carry with me into the next trip or the next season or whatever it was? And, like, have that, like, even if it's, 10 minutes one morning before your kids get up or while your kids are up eating breakfast at the table, whatever, to, like, really think about, okay, what have I liked about the last season and what do I want to change? Rather than just headlong jumping into, like, all the balls have dropped and I need to completely revamp my whole life and revamp my whole
Yeah,
everything and start over because that obviously is not realistic. So, I don't know, what do you think about that? As you, like are you a reflector? Are you like a, look back and think and then change the way as you move forward?
for sure. I'm, like, so introspective, it's, like, to a fault.
Yeah.
Um, but I also think that's why people like to do, like, the same things, like, the same vacations or
Yeah.
even, like, since we're talking about school, like, they like to, like, go back to school and get in that same routine because it's easier to refine something than it is to build something.
Ooh, that's good. Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
once you have those, like, big basic blocks in, like, okay, I know my kid's going to this school. I know that they like to take the bus and they like to
Mhm.
eat lunch at the school and dad does pick up, X days a week or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you can reflect and be like, okay, well, last year they said they wanted to take their lunch, but they forgot it,
Mm,
most days. So maybe this year we should eat lunch there. Like that's easier to like take these things and like refine them down, than it is to just be like, oh, a whole new school. We have no routine. I have no idea what we're doing. That's hard.
yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of I like the word refine because I was thinking about it as like trying to kind of rebuild your routine. So like you know what worked and what didn't work last year. So you kind of like try to get back to something that you think will work for you. But you're not thinking about it of like building from the ground up because you can't flip a switch overnight and think everything is going to follow your new plan. Like, that obviously is not gonna work. But it's like rebuilding, but I think I like refining because, yeah, a lot of families have already done something unless you have, like, a kid starting in kindergarten for the very first time this year, which there probably are some of you. But if you have already done this, like, yeah, think back of like, "Okay, what's worked?" Refine it. Like, maybe you didn't like doing pickup or your kid didn't like the bus or whatever it was, try to rebuild it and
Or you were
refine it.
late every morning,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, seriously. I know, I know.
All right.
So,
Well, what can
yeah, I was thinking about, like, okay, how do you do that? How do you, like, reflect back and then refine or rebuild? Like, I don't know, let's think of, like, some examples of some things that are helpful.
think that you just like you think about what you did. Okay, like, take it piece by piece.
Mhm.
Like, All right, last year and obviously, like, we are talking about someone who's already been in school, like, we
Yeah.
can address the people that, like, are starting school for the first time, that's fine, but, think about last year, think about your morning routine, and then pick out, like, what are 2 things that went really like, that went great. You're like, "Well, we picked out the clothes the night before, and that worked great. Perfect, keep it."
Mhm.
But, like, name it and keep it,
Yep.
and then, like, well, we didn't really ever plan breakfast, and breakfast was super stressful when they ended up eating in the car half the time. Okay, refine it. I'm gonna make 5 breakfast sandwiches, put them in the freezer, and that's what we're gonna eat. But, like, don't when you're refining too, you can't just be like, okay, breakfast was really hard. We were always in a rush and ate in the car. So let me wake them up 30 minutes earlier so that I can make a huge meal. Like, that's
Right.
not refining, that's rebuilding. And
Mhm.
that is going to take that's going to be too much of a change. But like
Right.
the breakfast sandwich, you're taking something that was already there. You already know you're going to end up eating in the car. So, like, how can you make that better?
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Okay, that's really good. So think about it like piece by piece. So even like, okay, let's even talk about this. Like in the summer, we don't most mornings we have nowhere to be. Like we've had a couple things where we like we'll do a play date or we're gonna meet somebody. But like, I mean, more times than not, I'm texting them saying, I'm 15 minutes late. Sorry, see you there. But they're just at the playground. So like their kids are already off running around. Like it doesn't really matter. Like
Right.
the stakes are very low in the summer. That's how I see it. And so, yeah, thinking about, okay, as school is starting, if I'm 15 minutes late, the doors are locked. Like, I can't like, they lock the doors
Gosh,
because I
that
can't
sounds
drop
so
them off.
stressful.
I know. So, like, those are things that, like, okay, in the summer, I'm, like, giving myself a lot of grace. Maybe I even, like, clean up breakfast before we walk out the door because it'll be nice to walk into a nice clean kitchen, where if I'm trying to get out the door to be at a specific time and place appointment that has a little bit higher stakes. Maybe like it's preschool. It's like not anything crazy. But like there's a little bit higher stakes. It's like, okay, I've got to like really think about I've got to set those intentions even the night before of where are the clothes, where's the food, all the different things. So, yeah, I think it's like it's fine if you give yourself the leeway in the summer of like, not a big deal, whatever. We picked up donuts on the way to the park and that was our breakfast. Like, oh well, whatever. But that's not going to
Yeah.
work every day going to school.
I think a lot of people can get really, like, especially all you, like, ADHD moms, we get excited about the transition, and then we take
Mm,
on too much because we want the novelty, because we want the dopamine hit, and we're like, "Oh, I'm gonna
interesting.
buy all new backpacks, and I'm gonna make a whole new routine, and I'm gonna do this because it's exciting." And really, like, we're setting ourselves up for failure because that's too much.
Yeah, it's too
You know what I
much.
mean? And it's hard. It's a really hard thing to do, but you have to, like, really think about, yeah, like, just pick those, like, 1 or 2 things that didn't go as well. Like, the 2 things that were, like, "Wow, that was, like, miserable," or "I hated that," and just try to refine those. Don't throw out everything. You can continue refining throughout the year. It's not like,
Of course.
this is it. So,
Yeah, and you might have like your needs may change and your kids' needs can change throughout the year too, where one morning maybe, you have to get them there earlier during this time because of whatever reason, or you pick them up later because of a sport, or like there's always things that are like, yeah, that are changing. I think giving yourself permission to have that reflection time, whether it's once a week, once a month, however often, just as it happens, reflect back and be like, "Yeah, I didn't like the way that that felt for me. I didn't like that I shoved them out the door and didn't even say I love you." Like, whatever, just, like, things like that are gonna happen. And so just each day, yeah, just, like, thinking through it and giving yourself permission to change it the next day is good.
something that, like, I do even now, my kids are not in school, but if I find myself getting frustrated over the same thing, about after the 5th time, I say, "Okay, I need to make a change."
Yeah.
That's kinda like my, like, parameters or whatever. So,
Mhm.
like, for instance, lately, the kids have been it's been like a big like, we've had more issues around when screen time is, and that didn't used to be a thing. Like, they never really asked until it was, like, already time, but now they're, like, asking at random times. And I'm getting frustrated because I'm like, "No, we always do it after rest time, and now blah, blah, blah." So I'm like, by the 5th time, I'm like, "Okay, something has changed with them developmentally that's caused some sort of emotion, anxiety, whatever, and I haven't had a plan in place, and so I've been responding with frustration, and anger or whatever, and once that happens repeatedly, I'm like, "Okay, now's the time to step in and, like, make the change." So, like, for us, it's like, "Okay, I'm gonna set an alarm, or I'm gonna give you a chart, a
Mhm.
visual," and yeah, so to your point, like, refining things as they come and knowing kind of like what's your like for me it's like 5 times. If you're getting angry about the same thing 5 times, make a change.
Yeah. I think that's so good because your kids are so, like, with the screen time example, they're asking for, like, a new boundary, right? Like, they're asking for, like, new parameters of some sort, and you could do 2 things. You can cave to their every demand, or you can set up some sort of new system, new routine, whatever it is, and yeah, I think that's, like, a very common and, like, very yeah, just, like, everybody has that happen, whether it's you're asking for lots of snacks, more screen time, to go someplace, somewhere all the time, like, all those different things. It happens all the time.
Because kids change, right? Like
Yeah.
you never we've talked about we've said this before. I know, but you don't just like wake up one day and you're like, "Oh, I think today my kids are going to start asking to go to sleepovers." Like, no, it
Yeah.
just happens. Like,
It's so
like
true.
these things just happen and then you're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
pause. Like I should like think about this."
Yep.
You know.
I know. Yeah. It's okay, have we talked about using feelings charts on here before?
Maybe in the very beginning, like, maybe when we did, like, the, like, a lot of behavior stuff in the very beginning.
Yeah, maybe we did. Okay,
Do you
well,
remember?
this is what I have been, like, aware of recently for myself. So
Wait, did
I
you say behavior charts or did you say emotion? What did you just
like,
say?
yeah, like feelings charts or emotion
Okay, okay,
charts.
okay, okay.
Yeah. So we have never used one before, but I have been, like, thinking more about them, and this is where it's come from, is that I am not very good at expressing my emotions. Like, I keep it all bottled in. I think we've talked about that. So, but I have these feelings, obviously. I have these emotions that are happening inside of me, but I'm just like keeping it all inside. So, I have been trying to do better at saying, like, I am frustrated that you are doing this, or I'm frustrated by this, or I'm sad about that. Like, whatever. I've been like trying to say it out loud more so that my kids are hearing it, they're aware, all these things. So, I've like tried to like set the stage a little bit, and now I put one up on the refrigerator, and there are some that are, like, 20 different emotions. Like, what child is going to look at that and say, "I think I'm feeling I some random emotion because of that
You'd
face
be
right there."
surprised.
Okay, well, I don't that's I wanted to ask you, like, truly your professional opinion on them because I found one that has 9, and I'm like, "9 is perfect, like, this is great, we just need, like, a few things that we can tie how we're feeling, and we can say the word, whatever it is." And so, we've been starting to do that, but I'm like I'm so much more aware of how much like, how little I'm actually saying out loud to my kids, like, for them to know and, like, see what I'm feeling. And so, yeah, that's been one of the things, like, even in the summer, I was like, "Not really gonna start anything new, not gonna we're just coasting a little bit right now." But I was like, "I'm gonna try this and just see how it goes." So, we're in the very beginning stages, but I wanna know what you feel
It
about
doesn't
it.
have to be any big thing. Like you put it on the
Yeah.
fridge, it's a reminder for you.
Yep.
And then yeah, like you don't have to feel like that's like a big project or
Yeah.
like, you know.
Well, and then the other
No, I
one,
love
so
that.
next to it, we have, like, calming techniques or, like, regulation, and,
Yep.
like, there's little
Mhm.
pictures, And that's been another good thing for me recently is that I feel like when I'm starting to get frustrated because or overstimulated, whatever, it's very loud in my house. The girls have found their voices and really like to make themselves heard. And so I've, like, been trying to find, like, these little windows where I can literally follow, like, what are these calming techniques? I can go sit and read a book. I can go, take a little moment outside, whatever it is when my kids are all in their, like, safe spaces. And it's so cool. So Judah has not caught on to the feelings chart quite yet, but that's okay. We're working through it and we're just gonna keep going at it. But he will say, like, I just need to go to my cozy spot," or, "I just need to go to a place by myself," or, like, he's starting to, like, really catch on, and I actually don't know how I got on this tangent, but it's really cool because I think he has seen me do these things, like, even if he's not aware of it, he's, like, seen me doing them and, like, leading him without even really ever talking about it, like, leading him to do it. It's really cool.
Yeah. Modeling is like the number way one way that kids learn well, it's through play, but like
Yeah.
modeling is how they see things so that they can learn.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it you even said like when they're safe and when they're like in a content place, but like just just to like let listeners know, yes, your kids need to be in a safe place, but it is okay to walk away from a screaming child and
Yeah.
say, I need to calm down. I'm walking away because I need to calm down, and I will come, right back. Or,
Yep.
you can be more clear about that, whatever. But like that's also okay. And our
Yeah.
kids learn from that. I can't tell you how many times I've had to do that to get myself regulated, and my kids now do that.
Yeah. It's so good.
Very consistently, they will get upset and they will run to their rooms.
Mm,
And I would say 50% of the time, they just calm down in their room and start playing. And then they
yeah.
come out later and they may wanna talk about it, and then another 50% the other 50% of the time, I have to go in and say, like, you know, "Are you ready to talk?" or whatever, but no, modeling, yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. It's really
super
good.
important.
Yeah. It's really, really good. So things like that, I guess one of the maybe that's how I got there is like thinking about things that have gone well or things that haven't gone well over the summer and like what I want to take with me as we go into this new season of like that's something that yeah, we've just like started scratching the surface, I feel like in the last month, but it's something I'm taking with me.
Well, those things are actually like really helpful for schools because if
Mhm.
you're doing these things in the home, that's really like translatable to like a classroom.
Yep.
A lot of classrooms already have them. And if not, you can even provide that same chart to the teacher. I think last year we did like a welcome like thing, like
Oh,
an
yeah.
email that you could send a teacher. Remember that template we had made?
Yeah, we could share that
But
again.
like if you're, yeah, but you could add on to that, like, here's this emotion chart that we've been using. This has been going really well. Or here are these 5 strategies that
Mhm.
my son or daughter has been doing at home when they're feeling overwhelmed.
Yep.
Is there a way that we can incorporate these in the classroom? You can
Yeah.
do that without a 504 plan too, guys, just so you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, even, like, in preschool or, even if your kids are in, like, a daycare or, some other childcare situation, whatever that is, I think it's helpful even if it's not, like, an official plan, just having something like that.
Teachers want this.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
no teacher wants a child that comes in dysregulated with no tools and they
Yeah.
have no idea how to calm them down. Like,
Yeah. I know. I remember when we were talking with a couple guests we had on earlier in the season, and we talked about like oral stimulation of like chewing, like, frozen gummy bears or like chewing gum or doing something like that. And I've thought about that so many times of like, do I need to like send some gummy bears to school with Judah and like say they're in his bag if he needs them? I might.
yeah,
Yeah, just little things
like
like that.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure some places have to
Um,
be, like, more, you know, stringent about, like, things that come into the classroom, but
Food and
yeah.
snacks and stuff. Well, you could also try transitioning him to something that's like not food related.
That's true.
like, they have, like,
Yeah.
frozen teethers.
Mhm.
Um, what's Des been chewing on? Des been chewing on a balloon lately, like
Oh,
a
yeah, we've done
non
that. Mhm.
blown up balloon.
Oh,
That and
yeah.
then but he has things squigs, those, like,
Yep.
suction cup thingies?
Mhm.
So
Those are
we
good.
usually that's what we refer like, we say, "Hey, go grab a squig," if he's, like,
Mhm.
putting stuff in his mouth.
That's good. Yeah, things to not put in your mouth are the Nido, squishy
Yeah.
things
Yeah, don't put
because
those in
they
your
look
mouth.
like candy, and they're not. Ask me how I know.
Did you have one
Um,
explode?
it was a close call. But we also had balloons. Speaking of balloons, we had, like, one of those, like, 100 water balloon, like, where you put it, like, up
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
spigot and it fills up, like, 100 water balloons, and I was
Mhm.
finding those little balloons everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Like, that they hadn't even made
They're
it
the
outside, and
I know, they are the coolest invention, like, that was so cool, whoever came
so
up with that
cool.
idea, because, like, if you've never seen them, you, like, put it on the spigot, you turn on the water, and, like, 100 balloons automatically fill up and tie and drop off
Yes.
themselves.
It's amazing.
Like, it's so cool, and they're the biggest mess.
Yes.
It's
Biggest
awful. I
mess.
know.
And if your child
Um,
opens the package inside before they even make it to the water to the hose, then it's just a mess that keeps giving for a long time.
yeah. I don't recommend kids chew on balloons. My kid's just currently doing it, but I wouldn't recommend that one. Uh
Hey, sometimes it's what works, so it's okay.
It's, we monitor it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah, there are
man.
other things that you can do. Yeah, I'm trying to think, but I do think that those tools like that, like your chart and all that is helpful for
Mhm.
teachers, like in that transition.
Yeah.
Because like, there's tools for us, like we're talking about like rethinking our schedules, our routines, how can we tweak them, how can we refine them? But then there's like this whole other piece of like how do we prepare our kids
Yeah.
for this big transition too?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that something we haven't talked a whole lot about here, I know you and I've talked about it, like, off the podcast a lot, is childcare or, like, just extra help in whatever way you need it because it can be very hard to find babysitters or nannies or whatever it is for especially our, foster and adopted children who have very specific needs and all the different things, but I just think that it's something as I look back and look forward, it's something that I think is worth the time and effort to try to find extra help in whatever way can work for you. Even if it's something small, even if it's like someone who's in the house with you when your kids are there because or like someone who can help you with pickup drop off, like, just different things like that. Cause I'm just like in kind of the category of like I don't know, just, like, asking for help and, like, not shying away. I was just talking about this with a friend, not shying away from asking for help, like, being bold and asking. Um, I think that that could really help a lot of people as you make a transition, as you go into you're already working through different transitions and going to school or whatever it is. Like, if you need to transition to having some help at home, it's it's gonna be worth it every time.
Yeah, I think like in the same realm of asking for help, you're talking about like practical help, but I also think that like I would love to see more normalized is like seeking help for yourself. Like I
Yes.
have seen and I don't like yes with childcare and things for sure and pick up and the practical stuff, but like so many times I will overhear mom talking or back when I was coaching families like there's this stigma of like I'm a parent, I shouldn't need help parenting.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what I mean? And it's like, well, we all have different backgrounds that we're bringing to the table.
Mhm.
And your parents didn't have a lot of the resources and tools that we do.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in using the resources that we have. Therapy has been like a game changer for my
Mhm.
parenting just because I'm in a place to Like, therapy has made it so that I can access the tools I already had, I just couldn't
Right.
use, you know? And a lot of parents, that's parent coaching. Like, there's no shame in getting, like a coach, someone who can give you some practical strategies you probably hadn't thought about, look at
Yeah.
it from a different lens. These kinds of things can be sometimes even more helpful than having someone come and give you a break.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, and if you I mean, I think from, like, where I'm sitting right now and, like, in my season of life, I think I needed someone to come in and help just so I could even then realize what I needed, you know? Like, I needed to, like,
Yes, for sure.
kind of knock some of these practical things down a little bit before I could even see, like, "Oh, I haven't really thought about that," or, "I haven't really reflected on that," or whatever it is, like, all those different things, but sometimes the practical can just be really loud, and it's really the practical is easy for someone to come in and, like, wash your dishes for you. Like, anyone can do that. So, then it can al like, if that's what you need to then allow yourself to be like, "Oh, okay, what does virtual therapy look like?" Or what is whatever it is, like, all those different things that you may need. Yeah, anyways.
I think a good parameter is that if you get help and then when you like say that you get a like respite, like
Yeah.
whether that's you're going to the gym or you're just going out shopping or whatever, like you get time away and you come back and within an hour you're triggered again, you
Mhm.
probably need more than just respite.
That's really good. Yeah, that's really good. I mean,
And
honestly,
I
I
say that from someone who was there.
well, because I kinda think that
That was
sometimes
me.
when I'm, like, the kids are all in bed, and I'm like, "Okay, I have, like, however many hours until I go to sleep," and then I wake up the next morning, I'm like, "That didn't help." Like, that wasn't what I needed, whatever that was, that's not what I needed.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I remember like going away for like a weekend and then coming back. And it was like, I was just immediately right back to where I was, and my husband was like, "I don't understand, like, you got time away, like, you got
Yeah.
sleep, like." And very clearly, I mean, I was not clear in the moment, but very clearly to me now, it's because that's not what I needed, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
so interesting.
it's really important that we take care of ourselves as we transition into this new season of school or fall activities or whatever it is that you're transitioning into.
And as we know, our kids have some extra special needs, and transitions can be particularly difficult.
Mhm.
So, we are going to talk about that next, but we're not going to keep talking about that right now because we would just be on forever and ever and ever. So, if you want to hear about that piece of going back to school and you really want to know about how we can help our kids during this transition and what we can be doing to help them go back to school, then stick around for the next episode because we are going to cut it off for today. And we will see you next week.